Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Chara?
Sorry, I have muted my microphone. So the recording is on. I've just asked whether you're gonna inform the attendees about the process of the webinar, or would you like me to do that? Chara?
Yes, okay, yes. First, we are going to see your profiles. If one moment, please. If you have just entered the room, please fill in the following questionnaire, and I'm going to show you to share with you the link with the results. Who we are in this room. We are going to talk about the effective communication in eTwinning projects, first among students, then among partners, among colleagues. I'm going to talk about the communication among students and Natalia among colleagues. We're going to give you some tips, some good advices, let's say. We're going to give you some slides, and we hope that this doesn't last a lot. Then we're going to practice those advice tips on a twin space practice that Natalia has to invite you to participate in this twin space practice. We're going to give you some tasks, small tasks, and then at the very end, you're going to answer 2 or 3 questions at our pod and write us your impressions, your ideas, etc.
Okay, Chara, would you like to share your screen and start the presentation? You can find it in the chat box.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
By the way, if you have any questions, you can add them in the chat box during the presentation, and Chara will answer your questions right after your presentation.
First, I would like to share the link. One moment. Here is the link with your responses, who you are. Can you click it and see it? Please write me if it's
Chara, you could share your screen and we could all see your screen and the results as well as the presentation.
yes. I think I have a problem here, Natalia. I don't have this icon, you know. I only see the image, the image of our webinar, and I don't see the my
Could you
screen.
check in the pods drop down menu, share first option? Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Can you see now?
Yes, we can see your screen and we can see the answers to the Google form.
And and I hope the link is okay. So we are here. Nine colleagues have already filled in the questionnaire from Bulgaria, Finland, Greece, Germany, Greece, Slovakia, and Spain. The colleagues, they teach English, German, music, Finnish, ICT, Finnish as a second language, primary school subject, school teacher in primary school subject, primary cross-curricular, I think. Yes, primary cross-curricular subject. The age of your student, 4 to 6, none teach 4 to 6 children to 4 to 6, 6 to 12, 5 of you teach students at the age of 6 to 12. 3 of you teach students at the age of 12 to 15, and 1 teach at the age of 15 to 18. Okay, at the upper secondary education. 2 of you have participated in 0 to 3 eTwinning projects. 1 in 4 to 7 eTwinning projects. 3 in 8 to 10 eTwinning projects, and 4 of you, of the 9, have participated in more than 10 eTwinning projects. Bravo! You are advanced eTwinner. So, do you consider yourself the 7 of you as an advanced eTwinner and the 3 of you as a beginner eTwinner? The following question is: at what issues do you have a need for professional development? The most of you at web tools do you have the greatest need. 2 of you at a good training webinar, pedagogical webinar. I'm curious and I'm sure there are many things I can learn, says one colleague, and at the pedagogical webinar one colleague. And at last, we asked you what is for you communication, because we're going to talk about communication today. So you say communication is the basis for the best eTwinning project. Communication is the act of transferring information from one place to another. It's a kind of conversation to someone. Development. A first definition could be exchange of information, but indeed it is much deeper. There are different layers of communication and different needs for communication. To be able to exchange information with others in order to achieve a goal. Communication is a way of learning, and communication is exchanging ideas. So thank you. We're not going to solve more answers, because we're going to start.
Okay, yes, you could start. Haram, some participants are complaining about the sound. I've noticed that there's, there are some ups and downs, and sometimes we can't hear you very clearly. Maybe you need to adjust something there, your microphone or something. As far as I can see, there are no attendees that have no TwinSpace to practice. This is great. If some of you have no TwinSpace and you need the link to our test TwinSpace for the practice part, remember to add your name there, and I'll contact you with info as to what to do in order to join the test TwinSpace. Chara, the presentation, okay, you can start the presentation. Thank you.
And tell me, can you hear me well?
Right now I can hear you very well, and I suppose the participants can hear you very well too.
Okay, you can see my screen, okay? So when we when we say communication among students, there are two forms of communication, the synchronous one and the asynchronous one. In the synchronous communication, we have in the TwinSpace tools the chat, and we think it is better if the teacher, if it is possible that the teacher is present in the chat, or at least that later can control that, let's say, can download the ones are written among the students. The live events on projects TwinSpace is available, and it is a very good way to communicate, for communication among students. The instant private messages, private messages for synchronous communication, yes, let's say this is exactly like the chat, I would say, because the instant private messages, it is not very usual to at the same time when we are in school that students from another country are exactly the same time in the TwinSpace. But if that is the case, then we can write the other students of other countries something quickly. And there are, for synchronous communication, the social media apps, but we propose those apps like WhatsApp, Facebook, or for the Greek students Viber. We propose them to use the older students, and under the as long as they also use the TwinSpace. In this way, I mean that they shouldn't neglect the TwinSpace. They should also be active in the TwinSpace and not only communicate with students of other countries through WhatsApp or Facebook. So the asynchronous communication that doesn't take place at the same time is the known students' walls on their profiles. The twin mail is exactly the same as the twin mail in eTwinning Live, but this is in the TwinSpace. Nothing else changed. It functions with exactly the same criteria and the same way. The forum is it's something very important, and we, the administrations, the teachers, or we can have administration, also some students, but we propose that this is the case for older students, for students in the upper secondary education. Only the administrations, they can start thread a forum discussion. But this is very good and very useful to have a lot of forum discussions in the TwinSpace, because as many as forum discussions there are in our TwinSpace, as better it is. And the project journal, we have write it at the very end, but it is very, very important for our students, because the students should be encouraged from us to post images, leave comments or questions on project journal on their own. On the project journal, only the administrations, where the teachers can post some question, but then the students can comment on those posts. Can also post another question, and the project journal is always very updated, let's say, because on the project journal we just say our daily news. For example, today was a school celebration, but this is not a task or something on our TwinSpace pages, but we would like to show to the other partners. So we post something, post an image on our school celebration, and then we leave all the participating students to comment on that celebration. And in this way, with the project journal, we feel that we share to the other partners our daily and school daily routine, according to our opinion. So, can you hear me well? Still here? Natalia, can you hear me well?
Yes, Chara, we can hear you. Yes, you can go on.
Okay. Okay. I go on. Thank you. Here, we give you some tips for your better organizations of our students' TwinSpace profiles. At the very beginning, we should explain to our students how the TwinSpace works. It is very important, and we give them time. We give a lesson time, according to my opinion, to explain them how the TwinSpace works. Our students should complete their profiles under our guidelines with as many useful information as possible. With this, I mean that it is not so good to just to write in our profile, hello, I'm Chara, I'm 15, I am from Greece, because the other partners, the other students know from where I am. So we must encourage our students first, our students of our class, to write as many useful as possible, and to write those informations, for example, about their hobbies, their favorite activity, their favorite lesson, their favorite friend, if they have a pet, and etc. Those information also that can cause small discussions from other students. Because if I only write, hello, I'm Chara, I'm 15, I'm from Greece, this small profile doesn't cause so many questions from other students. At the very first, at the beginning of our project, the other students are also, we don't know them very well, and sometimes they don't know what to ask. Another important tip at the second point is that we do not force our students to post a personal profile photo. It is not necessarily. We tell that, especially to our younger students. We give alternatives to post a profile photo. They can use avatars. We can teach them. We can show them the way avatars, or they can use the speaking character tool. One of our favorites, the Vocus. After that, the students should begin communicate each other, and I mean not each other among the students of their own class, among the students of other countries. So we ask them, we give the following task. We ask them to vote their best three students' profile, their favorite student profile of other countries. And in this way, we assure that they read not all, but at least as many as they can of other students' profile. And then we ask them in the class to argue this choice. Why did you like this profile? Why did you like the other profile, etc. So we assure that they have read the other profiles. And as homework or in the class, it's up to you. We ask them to post on those three favorite students' profiles walls at least one question. So, in this way, we help our students at the beginning of our projects. We help them by the first contact with the other students, something that at the very beginning it's a little bit difficult. And if you follow this tip, I think that you are going to have a lot of posts on the students' walls. Sorry. Some advice about being more active TwinSpace member. A small advice from me, especially for the younger students in the primary school, we can select the most active TwinSpace member each trimester or every 2 months. It's up to you. And these selections is being done by the teachers, of course, by the project teachers, not by the students. And we announce in the World class that this month, this trimester, the more active TwinSpace member is Sophie, is Lena, is Heidi, for example. And this is something that encourages and is more motivated, especially for the younger students. To motivate also then the older students, we can give the potentials, the mobility potential that eTwinning also offers, also give. I am sure that you remember the Move to Learn action that was something new that ran last year, and it was the Move to Learn action for students at the age of 15 to 18. And if the project was very good organized, and very quality project, then the project became some coupons, let's say the Move to Learn award, let's say, and the students could also meet each other on real time, on real life. We can give the older students realize also the recognition benefits of a very good project, that if we participate in eTwinning campaigns, if we participate in eTwinning weeks, the more active our project, our TwinSpace project and our TwinSpace platform is, the better the project is, and then we can win some goodies, some I don't know, but I think it's very good to give some examples of other awarded projects as well to our students, and so to get encouraged, because students and are motivated if they see some awarded projects, and if they see fellow students that they have earned something, that they have earned a recognition, a certificate, not exactly, not necessarily that they have earned a journey, but a certificate. Then, but from the very first beginning of our eTwinning project, it's necessary to give our students the netiquette rules that they should follow, as well as in the TwinSpace necessarily, but also in their chat app, as WhatsApp, Facebook, I don't know what other ways they have to communicate with the older students more. We say them that we do not tip on the TwinSpace on capital letters. We do not tip on our native language, of course, and especially for the Greek students. And we say that from the beginning, we do not write in Greeklis. Greeklis, it's not something official, but Greeklis is Greek words written with the Latin alphabet, and we say that we do not accept this written form. We do not communicate or chat or write only to the fellow students of our school or of the same country, because we can cooperate with two schools of the same country. We should explain to the students that it is not polite to communicate only among the fellow students of the same country, because otherwise the European project has no meaning. We do not use impolite words or expressions in no way, and we should control those posts. So our role is also to control, to read the posts on the students' walls. And if the posts are very nice, very good written, we encourage them also. Very good post, keep on, blah blah blah. By posting photos, we pay attention on the photos rights, of course, we use free image sites that they are available, and we give those links to our students in order to download free images for their profiles or for the TwinSpace images for the journal and at last we do not post inappropriate personal photos, and this is more for the older students. So our role is the role of advisor, of course, but we should also control, let's say, some things in order that the TwinSpace works well and according to the etiquette rules. Natalia, can you go on? Would you like to go on?
Chara, thank you very much. Chara has talked to us about communication among pupils and how we can make it more effective. I'm going to talk about communication among teachers mainly, but as you can imagine, these two topics are overlapping, and I may repeat some things that Chara has already mentioned. Chara, I'm going to share my screen now. Before that, Barbara has made a note in the chat box about how difficult it is to have a complete updated TwinSpace profile. I think that it's very important for our students to maintain an updated profile, and as you know, the same profile appears in different TwinSpaces. So as long as they update the profile at the beginning of the school year, no matter how many TwinSpaces a student may be a member of, their profile is visible in all the TwinSpaces, and this gives a good start for communication of this particular student with the rest of TwinSpace members. Let me share my screen and go on with the presentation.
If Barbara, excuse me, if Barbara would like to say something after the end of the presentation, after Natalia also finishes, then you can also tell us your opinion. We can share us your experience. Huh?
Okay, Chara, can you see my screen? Okay, thank you very much. So, what is communication in eTwinning projects? Communication in eTwinning projects takes place in the TwinSpace, which is a safe environment because only members with credentials have access. In the TwinSpace, communication can be verbal or non-verbal. For example, sharing images and videos is a non-verbal form of communication, but we can also share texts, written text, which is a verbal form of communication. Okay. Sorry for that. Communication can also, apart from being verbal or non-verbal, communication can also be synchronous or asynchronous. The communication tools integrated in the TwinSpace give the opportunity to project members to communicate asynchronously, that is, not simultaneously, not at the same time, but also we can communicate synchronously, that is, live. This way, partners can have a more direct way of interaction. One of the features of one of the TwinSpace features that serves communication is the forums feature. Only teachers with administrator rights can set up discussion forums. Students with administrator rights can create threads in forums. They can create a forum. It's very important to create forums for our students, so that they can get to know each other in their international groups. But you may also use the forums to plan your work as a teacher with your project partners, or you can use other tools for planning that can be embedded in the TwinSpace pages, such as a Google Calendar, which is very handy in order to plan your work throughout the school year, throughout the time that you're going to spend on the project. Or you could use Mahistro, which is also very handy tool in order to plan who does what at what time during the project. And finally, there is also WriteURL, which is a collaborative real-time online text editor that resembles Meeting Words or TitanPad, but in my opinion it is being evolved. It's a lot better than TitanPad. TwinMail is another feature, TwinSpace feature that serves communication. The TwinMail is it's actually a messaging tool. It's comparable to sending an email. With a TwinMail, project teachers can send individual messages to all the members of the TwinSpace they are part of. Teachers can communicate through TwinMail with messages that their students have no access to. But teachers can also communicate with their students by sending messages through TwinMail. Teachers can also use TwinMail to inform all participants about project activities and deadlines, or send reminders about the tasks. Messages can be stored, but they cannot have any attachments, although they can take links. In case you use the TwinMail for your communication, remember to take screenshots of your interaction and embed them in TwinSpace pages so as to prove the interaction to your NSS when you apply for a quality label. Teacher Bulletin. The Teacher Bulletin is a communication tool which is visible only to teachers. All teachers, both teacher administrators and just teachers, plain teachers, they have access to the Teacher Bulletin. The Teacher Bulletin could be described as the teacher's room. You can use it to manage the project and to discuss steps to take. You can add messages with details about a live event or whatever else you wish to share with your students, whatever you wish to share with fellow teachers, but not with your students or the TwinSpace visitors. The Teacher Bulletin is not visible to your NSS, so in case you use the Teacher Bulletin for your communication, remember to take screenshots of your interaction and embed these screenshots in the TwinSpace pages or in a forum dedicated to teachers' communication so as to prove the interaction to your NSS when you apply for a quality label. The Teacher Bulletin can contain images, can contain text messages, but it is also possible to attach videos and images using the HTML code. For example, an image uploaded in the materials section can be embedded in the Teacher Bulletin by adding its URL to the HTML code that you can see here. If this is something that causes any trouble to you, we can take some practice. We can practice this particular activity in the practice section in a few minutes. Project journal and public pages. The TwinSpace offers, we have moved on to asynchronous communication. The TwinSpace offers two ways of communication with anyone who is not taking part in the project as such. With public pages and the project journal, project partners can select and share information with different stakeholders like parents and other members of the school community. Giving visibility to eTwinning, to the eTwinning project, is both very important and valuable for the participants and for the school. Members of the school community, or even beyond that, are certainly interested in the eTwinning adventures of pupils. With the project journal, general information about the project at every stage can be shared. Teachers and teachers with administration rights can post messages on the project journal. All members of the TwinSpace can add a comment to project journal. And they can edit, project members should be encouraged to post regularly. Project journal comments can include materials like images and videos, which can be easily attached from the materials section. In fact, posts can contain attachments. If you want to comment on a post, then you need to use the HTML code to attach material from the material section. It is easy to post material from the material section using the staple clip icon on the top left of the project journal. Apart from images and videos from the materials section, project journal messages can take materials such as creations made with Web 2.0 tools, which can also be embedded with the HTML code or the embed code. Selected pages too can be made public so that everybody on the internet can read the information provided. Of course, if you wish to make pages public, you need to take into consideration the privacy of students, and you should protect it at all times. Embeddable Web 2.0 tools for communication. You may use these tools for other purposes too, to share practice or information, but you could also use them for communication purposes and make the most out of them. Here you can see some of these tools. I've selected Padlet Wall, which encourages partners and students to like and comment on each other's posts. Valkaroo is a tool that you can use to have a feeling of your partner's sound of voice. Use it with pupils who'd rather speak than write. It makes the partner sound more intimate. A Trello board is also very Trello board is also very convenient. It's a very convenient tool. It can only be accessed by teachers. Dot storming you can use to describe briefly what your opinion is. You may use it as well to like other people's ideas or comment on them or vote. The Tricitor can also be used in the same sense as dot storming, but encourages also further interaction. Personally, I prefer Tricitor to dot storming, but it's a matter of convenience. It depends on what you wish to do. A Space Deck, that's a tool that I've come across recently, and I think it boosts communication. It lets you easily combine all kinds of media on virtual whiteboards. You can use text notes, photos, web links, videos, and audio recordings. Okay, that's with Web 2.0 tools. Another TwinSpace feature that serves asynchronous communication is the wall. We have already, Chara has already told you quite a few about the walls. What I could add here is that you could complete your profile, or you could help your children complete their own profiles using videos and images, and you can add them using the HTML code. This feature used to be active, but currently it seems to be inactive. Maybe it depends on the TwinSpaces. What I suggest you should do is both project teachers and project pupils to add text and an avatar to your profile. Okay, moving on to synchronous communication, live communication. There is, first of all, the built-in chat room that can be used for simultaneous communication. All members of the eTwinning project can enter the virtual room at all times and join the conversation. It is not possible to switch off the chat room. Teachers have the opportunity to download and export the chat conversation and potentially use the chat history for pedagogical purposes, such as encouraging students to contribute to online discussions or assessing their contribution to a conversation. Or teachers, they can also assess the students' writing skills and discourse competence in the foreign language class. There is also a downloading chat history feature, a feature that enables a teacher to download chat history. This feature is important as a safety protection tool because it helps us protect our students against possible inappropriate online behavior exhibited by other students. The chat log history can be exported in two formats, XLS or HTML, and it can be filtered by date and time. Note that the chat log entries are kept for only 3 months, after which they are removed automatically. Also remember to document chat in the TwinSpaces because your NSS has no access to them, to the chat logs. Private messages, Chara has already mentioned private messaging. In the TwinSpace, all members can send these quick one-to-one private messages to other participants who are online. For both teachers and pupils, I think that this tool can be handy for immediate collaboration. Sometimes, in some cases, it is inactive, so I wouldn't suggest you rely to it too much. Finally, for synchronous communication, there are the live events. Teachers can use the live event tool to organize live events for all the members of the TwinSpace. They can teachers can book a virtual room. They can book it by they can book a time slot and make use of the video conferencing system provided. Just before the starting time, the enter room button, which becomes visible. The system includes various ways of engaging participants with different communication and interaction tools within the room. More specifically, presenters can share their computer screen, open a collaborative whiteboard, or show presentation or document. Participants can communicate with audio and video or just make use of the chat box. Now, 2 points to bear in mind. The live event session booked and organized in the TwinSpace cannot be recorded, and it cannot be accessed with accounts of pupils. So remember, so you have to remember to take photos of live events in order to be able to document online meetings. And you add these photographs in one of the TwinSpace pages or in the forum to document communication. These are the parameters that you have to fill in order to book a live event. Here you can see examples of TwinSpace communication in the way these examples are documented in TwinSpace. Here you can see forums, twin mail messages. These lead to sub-pages. You can see here the communication is the main page. Teachers forums, students forums, twin mail messages, and messenger messages. That is using the social media. They're all screenshots arranged in sub-pages in the TwinSpace. students forums, twin mail messages, messenger messages, more asynchronous communication. That's an example. Here we can use materials. Pupils and teachers can share images, videos, files by uploading them in folders named after topics and not after countries. Synchronous and asynchronous communication outside the TwinSpace. In that case, we can use social media and apps such as Messenger or Viber, WhatsApp. Closed social networks. Project teachers can set up private social networks. For example, a closed Facebook group where parents and guardians and other teachers, colleagues from your school can join by invitation only. Students can share their work there online for their parents to see, react, comment. That is, their parents, they can see the work and then they can react by liking or commenting or sharing. You can also set up your project YouTube channel for your students to upload videos of project work products and process. Videos can be short, they can be short, they can be long, they can be anything you like. You can upload short videos that you create easily with Magisto, and they can be just 10 images long. Or you can use Bitable, Wikidium, practice. In fact, we have completed the presentation. If you have any questions, please feel free to add these questions in the chat box. Here you have the link to the TwinSpace, the test TwinSpace, for those that have been invited. If you have your own TwinSpace, you can use it, and you can add your profile, complete your profile with text and image. You can post a message on another attendee's wall or another participant's wall. In any case, you can comment. Post a comment on the project journal under the post, tell us how your day was. You can find this particular post on the test TwinSpace I mentioned before. If you use your own TwinSpace, you can do any one of these three things and take a screenshot, and then you can paste, and then you can post your screenshot here in this Padlet, on this Padlet, for everybody to see. So the chat is here. Here's the Padlet wall. I don't know if there are any questions. Chara, if there are any questions and you would like to answer them, let me stop sharing my screen.
In the meantime, while you are talking, some questions you have already answered. For example,
Okay.
one colleague asked if she can record a live event in TwinSpace, and we have already responded that. Yes. I don't see any other questions in the chat. What happens when the founder of the project disappears?
There is no communication in that case, Nancy. Sorry, I'm joking. I spent a lot of time on the project. No, it is a problem of there is a problem with communication. Of course, one obvious means of communication that was not mentioned because it is too obvious and it's not embedded in the TwinSpace. It's the private email messages that we can share with our partners. And probably it is very nice to right from the beginning to know a few things about your partners, such as to have some communication data available. For example, apart from the private email address, you might have him or her as a contact on your Facebook account, or maybe you connect him through Messenger. So it is rather difficult to disappear if you are in contact with a partner in different using different tools.
Excuse me, Natalia. When we click on the Padlet,
Yes.
it says we need the password to access it.
Is that true? Sorry, I'm gonna fix that. Sorry.
And the other thing is that we have the practice, the test practice link on the chat, because you know all the colleagues have already their own TwinSpaces and they're going to post something on their Padlet. I'm not sure if.
Sorry for that.
And I also say for Nasia that, but you have already written that you know each other with the colleague. I mean, since your first project, because I was ready to say that if we would like to
Sure.
cooperate to do a project with only one partner, that it would be better to be sure that this partner is reliable, that we know this partner, and that we are going to complete the project till the end of the year. But you already have written that that you know each other. So this was such a pity that he or she has left. Hmm? Okay.
Okay, looking forward to your posts on the Padlet wall. Maybe there are some communication tools that you use and haven't been mentioned during this webinar. It would be great if you could share them with us so that we can expand our archery, the tools that we use, the number of tools that we use in order to communicate, because communication in the eTwinning project is fundamental in order to achieve collaboration.
In the Padlet, we expect some screenshots of your TwinSpaces, of the project journal, of the forum page, of your student profile, in order to show us how the communication in your TwinSpaces has worked till now, or still works till now.
Yes, you can take screenshots of your forums. Maybe there is a communication forum in your TwinSpace. Or there are different forums for different discussion topics, for different activities. For example, November activities, and there is a forum devoted to the activities that you run in November, and there is a discussion that is run among project teachers and even, I don't know, maybe project pupils as well, but let's focus on the teachers. Or there is a teachers communication forum with different threads for the different topics that run throughout the project, and it would be great if you could take a screenshot of this forum and edit on the Padlet wall. Since we're running out of time, it would be I would love to share with you the a poll which has to do with the evaluation of the webinar. I know that we have run out a bit of time. I hope this is not a problem. So there is poll number 1. You need to provide a short answer to this question. Tell us what you think we could do to improve ambassadors' webinars. This is a general question. A more specific one is coming next. So is there something that you think that we should do in order to improve ambassadors' webinars? Is there something that you need to be educated about, to be informed about? Thank you for your post on the Padlet. Thank you very much, Chara. You could type your answer on the poll. Thank you very much. My webcam is off. Okay, it wasn't too much of a loss for you. So teach us how to improve the quality of eTwinning projects. This is a very good idea. Thank you for suggesting that. It's going to take a lot of, it's going to take some webinars to improve, to teach how to improve the quality of eTwinning projects, but it's a very nice idea. Chara will be able to share this with CSS, with Claire and Irene. They may be, I suppose they're interested in that. They have actually asked us to make suggestions to what we could do in terms of webinars.
Improve the quality of our eTwinning project. How you can develop more quality, let's say, eTwinning projects. Yes, in Greece, it's a part of our on-site seminars, a presentation from us, the ambassadors, I mean, is about the quality of the eTwinning project. Isn't that right, Natalia? Is one part of our presentation, on-site presentations.
Yeah, I suppose that ambassadors in other European countries also run live seminars on qualitative criteria for eTwinning projects. Now, there is also another another poll for you. This is more specific to the current webinar. Which communication tool or tip regarding effective communication you haven't heard before this webinar, or you haven't used before this webinar? So this poll is also open. You can add your short answer. Okay, let me remind you that the presentation that you have just watched on Google Slide and the recording will both be uploaded in the file section of the live event. You can find it on eTwinning Live, I suppose within a week time. And those of you who are European ambassadors can also have access to this particular event in the training sub-pages of the European Ambassadors Group. Thank you very much, Liliana. I have not used chat, although I know about it. Yes. Chat is it's a very effective tool. The children like it a lot. Teachers do not use it that much because we can use other tools such as Messenger, for example. It would be great, as Chara said at the beginning, to use chat with your pupils, not leave them alone to chat. You can do it a couple of times with them in class in the ICT room. room, and then when they know what the procedure is and they have understood the netiquette rules, you can ask them to arrange chat dates with their international partners. Chara, I should mention that at 7 o'clock there is a Twitter chat run by a fellow European ambassador from Romania. She's also a member of the Twitter part of the European ambassadors group, in case you're interested in joining that. Yes, dot storming, Space Deck, and Trello. Yeah, I like these tools. They promote communication, and you can share a lot of stuff, particularly with Trello. And I'm glad that we've been of some help here, introducing some new tools. I think that we have completed the webinar. Is there anything else that you think that we should add? We can't hear you.
Sorry. Mute my microphone. Sorry. Only that Liliana asks us if we could send her presentation per email, but do we have the participants' emails?
No.
Liliana, if you would like the presentation, can you text here your email?
Liliana, you can find it in the files section of the event, of this particular event. Within a week, both the recording and the presentation, the PDF file, will both be uploaded in the file section of the event.
Okay.
So yeah, yeah, they are all made public. Let me tell you that next week there is another seminar on Web 2.0 tools on Wednesday at 7 o'clock CET. Let's check the Padlet to see what you have posted there. Thank you very much. And Theodora.
Sorry. I can't.
Thank you very much, Theodora.
I cannot see. It.
I'm not sharing my screen, so you can't see it. Maybe it's that.
No, I see it directly on the link on my computer.
Okay. So if there are any questions, we will be more than happy to answer them. Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, Margarita. If there are any questions, we'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, we can call it a night. Thank you, Igor. Liliana, would you like to ask a question? Thank you, Tatiana, for posting on the Padlet.
Once again, the presentation is on the live meeting files. So after 1 week, Natalia, because the presentation is recorded, you can find the link of our live meetings, and you can download the file on PDF that time.
Yes, there will be a PDF and YouTube link. in the files section of the event on eTwinning Live. That would be YouTube link, sorry.
File section. And would you like to say something? She can talk, Natalie?
Okay. I've enabled your microphone, but no. Okay, maybe she wanted to say goodbye, I don't know. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope we have answered some of your questions. I suppose there aren't any more questions. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Good night.